thank you. We're all connected. We're all connected here. So we're gonna take a little break here. I think Preston's gonna be talking and speaking to us too after he takes a break. So he never gets a break. He's actually only 25 years old. That's what happens to him when we work too hard. Thank you so much. Right now we'll be coming back for our second set. We're coming back for more.
Yeah, there's more where that came from. So, Miranda Belarde-Lewis is going to join me on stage. As I try to catch my breath here. Part of this day was an incredible gathering of Native musicians, and there was a whole panel discussion. Maybe some of you were here earlier. And so, oh, okay. Yes. Is this on? Okay, yeah. Ah, that sounds much better.
You want the house lights on a little bit?
A little bit? Sure.
Zach, could you put the house lights on just a little bit?
You want a chair?
Chair would be good. Do you want a chair? I've been sitting.
So in any case, the reason that we're here today, Miranda's here. She was the curator of the exhibition that's at the Museum of Fine Arts here in town. So it's leaving it with you for 6 months. So I hope you get a chance to see it, and I guess we're going to talk a little bit about music though this time.
Yes, last night, thank you to everyone. Good evening, my name is Miranda Belarde-Lewis. I'm Tlingit and Zuni. I'm an assistant professor of Native North American Indigenous Knowledge at the University of Washington, there in the Information School. And part of my job as a professor is we think a lot about knowledge transfer and how information flows from one arena to another, from one human to another and one family to another. And so that is the root of my research, and I'm really curious tonight to talk to Preston about something that we don't really get to talk about a whole lot. Everybody wants to know about the art, and it's stunning, it's beautiful, you should go see it. Thank you so much to the folks from the MOA who have come out. I hear somebody cheering over there, yes. And we also are very excited to talk about music and shift the tone a little bit. And I'll get the high sign of we're going to keep this short.
Yes.
Yes. And so,
yes,
yes. But Preston, when you're working collaboratively in your glasswork, I can see that collaboration here. I can see your band members talking to each other. Can you tell us a little bit about how the working with glass has influenced your musical endeavors?
Well, music was actually my first love, and I tried to make it as a profession of a rock star, but it just didn't pan out for me the way I hoped. So I fell back on my art career, and my art career supports my music habit today. So there's depth. So in the early days in the '80s, when I was learning how to blow glass and working with all these great people, I had a band, and some days I'd have a bad day in the workplace, and so I'd go and I'd play music, and that was always part of my life, part of my my artistic expression. So. In the early days, it was more about funk rock styles, and then the Seattle music scene broke, and there was just eclipsed everything that was interesting going on in Seattle. A couple of great bands came out of there, of course, but it really kind of everybody and their brother was moving to Seattle, and we kind of so it changed. It changed really fast, And I got tired of playing music on a Thursday night in front of 25 people, dragging my amplifiers and at 2 in the morning and going to work at 6 or 7 the next morning. So I said, so anyway, now when I'm working with the native musicians, I started to rethink as my career started to grow. I went back and said maybe I should, find some native musicians to work with. And a few of them, we had, in the beginning, we had Clarissa Rizal. She was a really great Chilkat weaver and also kind of a mentor to me, and Miranda's aunt. We were really great friends.
Because we're all related. Not really, but sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Tlingit community is small. But, so in any case, then I started a group called Little Big Band. It included James Luna, who was a really gifted performance artist, and he was part of the group with Gene Tagaban here. And that group, Little Big Band, morphed into this band, Khu.éex, and this has been a 10-year project, and we've made, so far we've made 4 triple LPs, and we have 4 more LPs kind of in the pipeline. So it serves to say that this is something that I'm driven to do, even though it's hard to make money from it.
It's good music.
Can you talk a little bit about how you've decided, because my very untrained ear, I hear a lot of funk, and I love it, but how did you, is that all you? Is that the influence of your bandmates? How did you come to this sound style?
So when you're talking about like different styles of they always had like, native rock band, native reggae band, native world beat band, native, metal band. But there was no native funk band, and of course that was just like the music that kind of speaks to me. I like the syncopation. I have a lot of thoughts about the syncopations of the funk style, the counter notes or the polyrhythms that are in the music. I like that, and playing with jazz musicians gives it an extra, can take it to other places, and and be very free and improvisational, and I like that. So I've always wanted to be with sort of more or less virtuosic musicians and people in the group. And I met this fellow named Bernie Worrell, who was the keyboard player for Parliament Funkadelic about 10 years ago. And we we became really fast friends, and he mentioned just off the cuff one day, he said, we should get together and work on some music. And I was just like, wait, you're talking to me? And this guy is just, an iconic musician, and he, is the foundation of all hip hop music, pretty much. He sampled all of his riffs, all of his music, and he never really got paid for it. But so, anyway, so we spent 3 years working together, and he passed away in 2016 when we made all of the 4 albums that we have to date. So that's kind of a very special period of time, and it kind of gave us the foundation of the group. But today, with this lineup, all of these folks are kind of invested in it's a real organic process. There's very little, it just kind of, we used to just go into the studio when we only had Bernie, we would improvise. Because we only had him for a very limited time, so we would just roll, the recording machine, and then we would then overlay it, and we would add voices and stories, and we would make forms from this music that we created organically. But this group, this lineup here, is I'm so lucky to have these guys involved, and it's an honor to work with each and every one of them, because they're so talented, and they're so and they're really committed to this working with this group. As among other groups, they all are artists in their own right. They or they have jobs, or they are involved with many different kinds of things, even within the Native community, and what have you.
Can you tell us a little bit more about working with the artists that you have? Like, James Luna. Can you tell us a story about James on an exercise bike or something like that during one of your performances?
Yeah, James was he was just a lot of fun. Very, theatrical approach to his art, and he brought such a surprise element to the group, and I knew he was working with some musicians and doing spoken word over the top, and so I invited him to be a part of the group, and he and there was always some kind of antic that he would do. He would just kind of like out of the blue, like he would just start doing something on stage, and it was very random sometimes. Like one day, the very first show we ever played, I didn't know this was going to happen. Gene comes out with this big cannibal giant mask. He's like holding this big thing. It's like makes him look like he's 7 feet tall, and he's it's kind of so he's kind of dancing it. And James had grabbed a broom, and he was like kind of sweeping up in front of the stage. But then he reached into his pocket, and he's got a bottle in a paper bag, so he was like kind of nipping on it, just acting out as if like all of a sudden his demons have come to face him, and I had no idea, what was going to happen. And like I look out, and it's like, what's James doing out here? Jeez, and so it was a really great time with him, just super creative.
And for those of you that don't know James Luna's work, he passed away a few years ago, but he is a performance artist primarily, and he used to call himself the world's oldest emerging artist. And he would say that up into his 50s, and he was just incredibly thoughtful, and he was a trickster, right? So James was always pushing our expectations of what Native performance could be, and represented American artists through the NMAI Pavilion during one of the Venice Biennales, and was always making comments on diabetes, on addiction, on trauma, and health and identity. And so he's really known for his seminal work, the museum piece, where he just laid in a museum in the case for a day, wearing a loincloth and nothing else, and he would just take a nap in there, and people thought it was real. And they thought, oh, wow, this is great. This is an Indian body. Oh my gosh, he's alive. And, he would really play with expectations like that. And to see him have an outlet like a band to do his performance live and improvise with the band was really fantastic to see.
Yeah, there was that group was almost like a 3-ring circus. Like we had the music going on, and then Gene's coming out with masks, and it was just like everything was a lot of surprise elements for the audience, and kids loved it because comes out with the mask, they're like run up and they look at him, and so our music was sort of multi-generational.
Can you also did the soundscape in the exhibition with Matt Starrett. Can you talk about the influence of music on the exhibition itself?
Yeah, so the exhibition is got visual, projected video to sort of create an atmosphere of another place, and kind of animating certain elements of sculpture that I made in glass, and the music I wanted to have like a soundscape. I've been playing with this idea for years, and this was the most developed it ever became, and it was. So working with friends and trying to create some ambient music that would kind of blend together, work together in the different spaces, and then we overlaid that. We added a Tlingit speaker telling aspects of the Raven story. So the Raven steals the sun, brings daylight to the world, and then you're hearing the Tlingit language. So I was always wanting to create this element of surprise within my exhibitions when I have a big enough space to do it.
I really appreciated that too, that point that you can hear the different elements of the sound as you walk through over at the MOA. In other venues, this is the 5th place where this exhibition has traveled to. And so in each place there's different elements, right? The space is different, it's the physical structure. And so in some places the layout, the footprint was phenomenal, but the sound was just not quite right.
Yeah, this is the best venue for the sound. I think it just really works there. Yeah, couldn't be happier with that.
And I was telling Brian that this is the first place since Tacoma where you get to you're confronted by those figures at the end, and they're all facing you as you walk into that last room, and it's just really, really stunning to see them all looking back at you, and it's my favorite.
Yes.
Yes. Is there anything that I forgot to ask about music that you really, really, really want to share?
Oh boy, I don't know. So I figured, I decided that, I've been pushing on this glass career, and I want to build the perspective around the band up for the next 10 years so I can retire as a musician. And we're going to be like the Buena Vista Social Club, it's like this band, remained relatively obscure for 20 years, and now we discovered them. And I can go on the road in my 70s and go kind of change the world with my music, Anyway, we'll see if that happens. But that's my little punchline. What do we want to keep going, or what do we?
I was waiting for a high sign from up on the top, but I think we're good on time.
Does anybody have any burning questions about anything?
About music. About music.
What I had for dinner last night, or?
Yes.
What does the name mean?
Oh, Khu.éex. Khu.éex means potlatch in the Tlingit language. So the reason that we gave it that name is because potlatch is actually a very complex and really big ceremony of raising totem poles, giving names to children,
Memorials.
paying back, to neighboring clans that maybe, you owed a favor or something, and but it's also a time when all of the songs and all of the dances and the stories are retold and shared amongst the different clans. And so that's what kind of I feel that this is, because we have that storytelling element. We're using traditional language, Tlingit and Haida. We've also used Khu.éex language. Really talented singer from the group Pamua, Stephen Blanchett, just incredible singer. And so that's why we gave it that name.
Yes. Are you on Spotify or anything like that? And how do you spell your band name?
Yeah. I know, I had to name it something that no one could pronounce, and I could never remember how to spell it. It's Khu.éex. There's a select few things. I mean, on Spotify, I think it's, or maybe everything's on there. I don't remember.
You can buy the vinyl album at the store, though.
You can buy the vinyl. You can, then we get paid. Spotify don't pay nothing.
You should get on Tidal. Tidal pays more for
Tidal
fewer
pays
streams.
more. We're on Tidal as well. Yes.
Do you think that your music helps your mental health to do your classwork?
My mental health. Good question. Music gives me, I have this love for music. I started playing music when I was 11 years old. I started with piano and switched to guitar in high school. And then I met this incredible bass player, played amazing, at the time it was like slap, funk style. And I was like, man, that's incredible. I want to learn how to do that. I don't do it so much anymore. I play much differently than when I was a slap happy 20-something-year-old and trying to play like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Fishbone or something. But anyways, what was the question? Oh, my mental health. No, it doesn't. I don't know. It's debatable. You have to ask my wife. Like, why do you do this? Why are you so driven? But anyways, I have a lot of fun. But I give it does occupy an inordinate amount of space in my head. I'm always thinking about music. I get thinking about music all the time, and we're all constantly writing new material. I mean, our guitar player has got, he sent me, it's like, I got some ideas here. They sent me a file. There was like 85 songs on it. I was like, Jesus, where did you, well, a lot of it was like from, all the way back to maybe like, just out of high school or something. But, writing in all kinds of genres, and we connect it on the same kind of music, Frank Zappa to Jim Pepper to, you name it. Parliament Funkadelic, yeah. So we had a lot of fun working together. But it does give me some. I love performing. So we were talking today in the symposium about like, should you record or you should, or is it a live thing? I really thrive on playing live because I love that exchange of energy and when the band's like, really hitting on all cylinders, then it feels like, there's some magic moments. And I like recording because then it kind of captures a snapshot of what you were doing then, and and so now and then you have that as a reference. So, because I always wanted to be a musician, I had now I have this sort of opus of music, that created with the albums that we put out. So, I can say I did it.
And the elder that was working on the exhibition with Preston before I joined the team, he is quoted as saying that Preston is a glass blower trapped in a musician's body. And so
musician trapped in the body of a glass blower.
Okay, yes, there we go. You know what I mean?
Or
there,
stuck or something.
Stuck, yeah. And so you can see it come out in different ways, and finding the musical aspects, like the making sure that it's integrated in the exhibition. That was really a vehicle to use the music too.
We're getting a signal up there. Okay, I think we were gonna one more question, and then I'm gonna take a little breather.
Brian gets the
and then
last
we're gonna
question.
get back to it.
I hear stories about hot shops and musical playlists. Is there an object associated with music for you in a hot shop?
I mean, music's a big part of, glass blow. When we were working, it just kind of helps, pass the day, the time of day. Hopefully, you get the right team and you're able to play the right kind of music. I don't know. I have a tendency to want to play a lot of, funk soul stuff, Ohio players and, anything from, Bernie Worrell, Bootsy Collins, stuff like that. I mean, I think my team gets bored of it, but anyway, that's kind of that's the signature in my studio. If it's like Radio Free Preston, that's what we're going to be listening to. Sometimes they try to commandeer the stereo and they put on some terrible thing, and I have to like.
They try to take over the aux, as the kids say, the aux chord, the aux input. And if you ever, I know there's some high-level folks, high-status folks in our society in the room. So if you ever get a chance to get out to Preston Studio, it's light and airy, and there's a really tall ceiling, and the air just floats. The music just floats up there. I'm usually up, if I'm there, I'm usually working out business stuff with Celine upstairs, but that camaraderie and the atmosphere of collegiality is so present in the studio. And even if you're tired of the music, I still see folks like dancing to it while they're like doing their work, carving out the different vinyl or getting ready to head into the sandblaster. It's just, I don't want to say it's a party atmosphere because everybody's working, but it is but it is, everybody's joyful about it, and I think that really comes through the work too.
Anyways, we have a whole nother set, so you better call your friends and tell them to get down here right away. Anyway,
Thank
if
you.
you're willing to stick around, I guess we'll play we'll play some more music for you. Come back in about 10-15 minutes.